So basically, what I wanted to show you is that I've heard from a friend, from a good friend of mine, that to start a successful Node.js project, what I should first do is I should install Lodash, obviously, because this is what every respectful Node.js developer does, right? And he told me that there is this page, and I just I have npm installed, I think, so I just copy this to install Lodash. And that's what I wanted to do. I now have to switch my screen sharing to my terminal. Let me make a project, a Node.js project, which will obviously have a package JSON, right? So let's call it a proj, and let's just make it quicker. And let me npm init the project, and it will have all the default settings, and it's cool. And now let me paste what I had there on the page, and let me install it, and let me wait until it finishes installing whatever I just did. Yeah, so I just copied the thing from the page, right? Does anybody know why it exactly happened? It's a trick, obviously. It's not a real hack. But if somebody knows what I actually did, but not the ones who already seen it. Okay, you were first.
It was not Lodash, it was EOS.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the point, and that's why I want to make you a little bit terrified. That's because, let me stop sharing again and now share the presentation, and let's begin the proper part. Yeah, so that was this part, and today I will be speaking about how NPM sucks and why we have to watch out for that. And obviously there will be a lot of no, I'm cool. I won't be typing anymore. Yeah, thank you. Obviously there will be a lot of mental shortcuts in this presentation, and we all know how to avoid a lot of stuff that I will be speaking about, but hopefully I will share some things that you didn't know about, and that will make you think twice before you do some stuff with NPM or your Node or generally JS applications. So even the, who knows about crossenv? The typo squatting attack that happened some time ago. Okay, I can see one. Who used crossenv? That's, yeah, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Probably it's the older part of the audience, right? Because we had to use it.
Everybody uses it, not everybody is aware.
That might also be the case, right?
Maybe you can explain what is crossenv.
So crossenv is used to run NPM scripts in a way that the environmental variables are passed to the script in the same and consistent way, independent of what operating systems are running them on. So in some companies where some people use Windows and some use Linux and some use Macs, it's obviously a core and problem where you share scripts and NPM package JSONs and your code. And for one person doing NPM starts your application with the right setup, and for the other person it doesn't work. So back in 2017, I think, even earlier, this guy called Kent C. Dodds, which is a famous person, who is a famous person in JavaScript world because he's also the creator of React testing library and this new testing approach in React world. He's actually a very smart guy. He did this small package that unifies how you pass environmental variable to your scripts, which helped a lot of people. So it was obvious that you are just doing it, and packages are doing that, and they are doing that without you knowing that they are doing that, like you said, right? So you don't even have to necessarily know that you are using the package while using it. And the problem is that this package was the target of, I think, one of the first, if not first, exposed so-called typo squatting attacks performed with NPM. And it worked like that somebody published a package, not sure if you can see it on the screenshot, but the name of the package that was published, the malicious one, was cross-env without the dash. And in August 2017, Kent C. Dodds reached out to NPM on Twitter, and he said that something strange is happening because like people start installing this cross-env without the dash package, and it actually had the original cross-env in its dependencies, so it did the work that you expected it to do, but at the same time, it ran a post-install script, and this is exactly what I did at the start of this talk, right? I published a malicious package that pretended to be Lodash. The difference was just that the first letter was not L, but capital I, at least on the page. And since NPM is case insensitive, I was able to copy it, paste it into the terminal, and install it. And it installed a package, but at the same time it did run the post-install script, which did some stuff on my computer, right? And that was the problem here. But here it was much more malicious because this package was doing some, like sending some data with HTTP to the servers of the person who published it. And like it took them quite a while to figure this out. And also like this screenshot here is from 2022. So like a couple of years after 2017, and people were still installing the malicious cross-env. And now when you go to NPM, you will see that this package name is restricted by NPM. And it's a so-called security holding package page. But people are still installing it, and I never know myself which one is the right one, and I suppose that I installed it at some point in the past. So that's that, and basically this connects to the more general topic of there is a couple of places in the network, in the internet, thankfully, that like inform us about this stuff, and a lot of good-willed people who find such things out and share the knowledge. And one of those places is called CVE, which stands for Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, and they track such things, things that are happening in software around, in packages that are being used by people and companies. And 240 is the number of common vulnerabilities and exposures being open and present for NPM only. And there is like a lot of them for other package managers in other languages and for other like libraries as well. And I will share the links later on our Discord or wherever. The references to the blog post about from NPM describing the cross-env finding. And like this specific one is called typo squatting, so it depends on the developer unintentionally making a typo, like low dash or cross-env with the dash or without the dash. There are even packages called Node.js, right? So somebody can try install Node.js from NPM, and those are obviously malicious packages, right? And there is like a golden 4 or 5 of the types of this type of attacks. But what's scary, and this is one of the things that make me depressed, and I got depressed just yesterday, because just yesterday I've read about this, like there is this blog of a guy who used to work for NPM, was a development manager there, and he published another fault with NPM. So I will start with the 6th one, and it's just very, very recent, from a couple of days ago. and it's about that the manifest that describes what the package does, its name, the dependencies and all of that stuff. The main file of the package that you are publishing is completely independent from the tarball package that you are publishing. So it can be two different things. So the tarball can do something malicious and crazy, while the manifest can be good and nice, right? And it's there, like, and they are obviously working to work around it, but it's there, and it was there since a long time, which leads me to my next topic. But first, to quickly go through the types of the attacks to just get you an understanding of how huge this topic is and how many things can happen. So first type is typo squatting or masquerading, is when somebody does a typo. Then you have Trojan packages, which is like obfuscation, more like thought through ways of making or install malicious packages. Then you have dependency confusion. This is actually one that is quite cool, and it was one of the first beneficiaries of that type of attack was Netflix, and it was not even JS, but some Python library that they were using. It's like when you install a package, and especially in a like company or corporate environment, you usually don't care for the version, right? You might care for the version when you do something specific to yourself, but in your company, in your corporate world, you generally feel safe. So you just install the latest version, or you even use those characters indicating that you want the package to update itself automatically and stuff. And this is where they can take advantage of you, because like with Netflix, somebody published a very high version of Netflix's internal package on a public repository. So next time when their builds fired and started installing packages and were downloading latest version, this one was downloaded from external repository instead from being downloaded from the internal one, which obviously resulted in a lot of crazy stuff happening, right? The last one is the most dangerous one, and it's just hijacking, because obviously it's not that hard to hijack somebody's account and publish next version of a package under his name, and it's not happening it's happening quite often. Obviously, like I've said, like NPM is working on that. This is all known, and like my intention is to also share it with you, so you walk out more aware from here about such stuff. Like in Bayer, originally I was preparing this presentation with my colleague from the security department, and like here, for example, we have locally set up NPM proxy that has a lot of mechanisms in place to, first of all, not proxy any installments to outside repositories. Then it has a lot of checks for malicious installments and things. And the main thing that you can do on your own or at your company or at your personal project is to use namespaces. NPM introduced them some time ago. And then scopes, sorry. And then only you would be allowed to publish to those scopes. But then there is another catch with that, because often companies have their internal namespaces in their internal repositories and they are happy, right? But then it occurs that on some external repositories, NPM and some other that are around there, not used that often, somebody from like other company already took this scope and is publishing packages over there. And it sometimes happens that it's a valid company. Like I think that we had a colleague from Allegro speaking to us here, and he was explaining, he was talking about the situation where there is this company called Allegro somewhere in Scandinavia, and they are a legit company that was publishing packages on NPM under Allegro's scope, right? And they had some, obviously they ended up having some conflicts and having to talk to each other. So it might be funny, but there is a lot of stuff happening out there that we don't even know about. Yeah, and this leads me to the, like, this is basically what I, like, first thing is to share awareness. Next thing, this is just the same Johnny that hacked my NPM. He also hacked my presentation and put this stupid meme here. And this came to my mind when I've heard about, and I was reading and digging deep on those NPM typo squatting attacks and stuff. And it led me to things called lol beans and lol bus, which is a very cool name because I always loved the lol memes. And what does it mean? Lol beans or boss or whatever, this stands for living off the land binaries. And it was first introduced on a security conference back in, I don't remember when, because the number of the, like somewhere in early 2000s, I think, where this guy on the conference said this sentence that the use of built-in tools and not introducing any new tools is an easy way to defeat most countermeasures, right? Because like what's terrifying about this approach is that while doing some stuff here and there, hackers use ways of compromising your security on your computer, and they are not like blowing your machine straight away, right? They are installing or exchanging binaries used by your operating system and trying to mimic their behavior and ways of operating and using system resources so that they are practically unrecognizable from real packages, real DLLs, and real executables. And it's not like it's something that is being caught by antivirus software, because only in again, the reference is from this year, May. Only then did Microsoft acknowledge that they have this problem happening since, like, it was exposed, it was found somewhere mid-2021, that like a lot of their clients and their software and their machines and their operating systems are compromised through those lol beans. So there is a lot of binaries that look and operate and seem like system binaries, but in reality they are malicious software installed by evil hackers from mostly China and Korea to send stuff all over the world and to gather information, intel, insights, and everything. And what's crazy is that Microsoft, obviously, first, they wanted to contain this information, right? Because this is what you usually do. You don't want to expose your vulnerabilities. But then they lost control. They don't know, and they don't know how many of companies and people around are exposed to this vulnerability. And they don't know what is the real impact. So they decided to expose it because obviously a lot of harm might be happening around the world due to the fact that they would not expose it, right? And it all happened like that. Like the whole story was that there were these network devices, routers and stuff that were easily exploitable. Of the company called FortiGuard, and hackers got to them through compromised SOHO network devices, which stands for small office and home office devices. So all of us working in our homes or from internet cafes, like, sorry, not internet cafes, Starbucks and stuff these days. I was working from internet cafes, and it was completely unsafe back at the days as well. So all of us working from those cafes or from our personal networks or from our colleagues from networks and Wi-Fi routers that are not well secured or have security holes or simple passwords, hackers got through these devices into the work company computers, and they installed those lol beans and propagated lol buses and everything, and this is how it expanded. And for example, Lockheed Martin was compromised like that, and they still are, and they still I think that they still didn't get full hold of what is happening. So next time when you connect to Wi-Fi in Starbucks, I hope that none of you is doing that. Please think about it twice, or even at your friends, or also think about if your bank password, you only keep it in your head and it has 24 characters. Then if your Wi-Fi password is admin123, it doesn't make sense, right? And then to culminate all of that and to make you even more depressed, and there was this case, also something similar and connected to it. And it's mind-blowing. I was like I said, I was digging, and it was getting darker and darker and more depressing, because one of the latest findings is that there is this company Axie Infinity. Not sure how many of you know about them. They're making this game with stupid Pokemon-like characters that you can collect and hold value in them as NFTs. And obviously this company has developers, right? And if you're a developer working on NFTs and blockchain and all of that, you get thousands of LinkedIn requests to join some recruitment panels and join some blockchain projects that will grant you a lot of money, crazy amounts, which is reasonable, and it happens, right? And there is a lot of money out there in the market. So one of these guys, what they did is the developers from the company responded to LinkedIn recruiters, and it was all legit. And they passed a couple of recruitment steps, hard algorithmic problems, they talked with HR departments. It all looked very legit. And at the end, after they finally got the PDF document with the final contract to be signed, and the recruiter said, you have to read it quickly and best sign it digitally and send it back to me. And they opened it, they accepted all the security warnings that you are installing this certificate from this company, because obviously it makes sense if you have to sign something quickly. And they obviously did it on their work computer, because they won't be working for this company in 2 days from now, so it doesn't matter. They compromised the whole system. And even though the NFTs were protected by, there were 9 entities who had to sign transfer of NFT or other digital funds from one account to another, and 5 of them, of those 9, had to sign a certificate to allow for such a transfer. These hackers, by getting access to this one developer's computer, they got access to 5 another accounts. They were able to sign the certificates themselves, and they moved huge amounts of money, digital money. Then they laundered, yeah. They laundered it through a couple of digital currency markets, and it all ended up in North Korea. Yeah, so, and it might seem like something from other galaxy, but then just a couple of years ago, Steam had the same problem. It was everybody of us in some companies sometimes had Steam on his work computer because it was faster than the computer at my home, right? And everybody sometimes plays some games, and what harm could it do? But then Steam had this problem. It was a couple of years ago already, luckily, that there are deep links. So when you go to a page, you see a advertisement of a game, and you click it, and it takes you to Steam. This link had a vulnerability that let the hackers use the RC type of attack, which stands for I forgot how the abbreviation goes, but anyways, it's about that such links often have to do meaningful stuff on your computer, open applications. That's why you are always asked if you really want to open this application and allow your Chrome to open on your, I don't know, Zoom or whatever, right? And if it's not secured intelligently enough, in some cases it lets people run malicious code through this approach. So yeah, it's not all that. It's not that away from us as it would seem. And yeah, thank you, and I hope that I make you much depressed and hopeless, and you will watch out. And I think that we can consider all of us hacked. So stay positive, like yeah, stay mega whatever.